Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Green Factor, a show where we talk about green design and the business of sustainability. I'm your host, Haris, the Green Carpenter, and today we're going to be talking about composting for companies. So, with me today, we have May. Hi, Miss May.
Hi everyone.
So I've known about Mako for quite some time. So they focus a lot on composting machines for the industry, especially. But before we go into our issue today, I think for the benefits of our viewers and listeners, can you share a little bit about yourself, your journey, and what you do?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks very much for inviting Miko to be here. Okay. My name is Mae Ooi. Okay. I'm the sales director of the company. The company is called Miko lah. Although it sounds like a Japanese name, actually it's a long term of Mentari Alam Miko. So what we do is that we started in 2011. The three partners, we have three partners, myself, Chelsea, and another partner. Now we were in another industry before, and then but we very much into green and associated with all those like green buildings and all that. So we were all looking at about how we can score towards green. So this is the time when we do all the testing and all that. We find that waste is not really somebody care about a lot of time, and when they do score point and all other things, waste is at least priority. So when we come together, we think, hey, look, maybe this is something that we can do for the environment and all that. So that's why we put out together and we started in 2011. Mind you, in 2011, when we talk about waste to so many people, they're like, May, are you doing charity or not? Are you sure you want to do this? Because now our waste I just throw out like, we just tak bayar-bayar kan. Everything is like free and all that. So that time was quite demoralized, but then we know this is the trend to go because we don't want to, we really need to take care of the earth, right? So since 2011 to 2015, we are ladies, kan? So that time we were not thinking of really making the machine. We were just thinking, okay, maybe we go and buy from somebody and then we just sell to the corporate and all that. But eventually we have spent a lot of money. We do R&D. We bought machine from overseas and all that. We find that it doesn't really work, as it claimed. Like for example, some of the microbes they cannot, like take our local food Asia, we have like very good food like sambal lah, satay lah, all this, which if we take something from overseas which are not about the food that's related, so we find that the microbe part, the enzyme part doesn't work. So for me, I'm in terms of background, I'm a microbiologist and also genetic lah. So my partner Chelsea, she's in mechanical. So it's kind of like a good synergy lah. So both of us take together and say, hey, let's do something on our own. So that's why we design our own machine. So for 4 years, we were doing R&D, and when we started with a machine in 2015, we started to sell our first machine. So from there onwards, we kind of like slowly penetrate into market and let people know what we have. Although the response was quite slow, but the awareness is there. Awareness is there, but budget is not there lah. This is always a trend kan, when you have something like in the future punya product kan. So after that, along the way, we would say that before COVID time, there was time where we really like going to step more into the market. But unfortunately, the pandemic comes in. Then we are lucky to say we survived the pandemic lah. Now everyone back to action. This is where we see the future, and we really think that it's going to be a necessity in the future lah. That's how we come to having Meko. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite a long journey, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you stay in the industry because there are some you're passionate about it, and there are something in it that you feel that you can contribute. So, um, w- can you share a little bit about the current situation on food waste here in Malaysia?
Okay. A lot of people actually do not know the statistic of food waste. But we just talking about solid waste itself. For For worldwide, it's about 1.3 billion daily, tons of food waste. 1.3 billion tons of food waste daily generated. That's from the whole food supply chain lah, from the beginning until the consumer lah. But in Malaysia, we have solid waste statistic, which is like almost 38,000 tons per day. Out of that, the latest statistic in 2018-19 shows about 16,000 tons are actually consist of organic waste. That will make up from maybe food waste and then some of the garden waste and all that. So when you look at this statistic, it clearly shows that whatever goes to the landfill, more than 45% are actually organic waste. And then this is going to get more because why? When our recycling rate increase as year goes by, say now the awareness is there, people start to do recycling and all that, then we will have less of other waste. Then that's where the food waste contribution to the landfill and the organic will be even more than maybe 45, 48 or even 50%. So this is quite an alarming figure. So for as a country, maybe we don't show that we are a lot, but as a person, as per pax, based on the statistics in 2019, the top 10 countries with food waste, highest food wastage, is we are ranked number 5, Malaysia, per person, meaning to say individually we contribute a lot. So I think looking at that, we should really do something about it lah. So this is the current trend. And when we look at the whole situation, who contributes more on this? Now, household itself contribute about near to 44.5%, and industrial, commercial, 31.4%. So everybody has a role in this. So when we talk about company like ICI, this is where commercially we can contribute, let alone the household first, meaning to say if we can't control individually, but as an industrial or as a company, we can really contribute something to divert food waste to the landfill. So we seriously need to look into waste management, especially on food waste.
Yeah, so when you talk about food waste, there are or hospitality waste, there are two types, right? Which is the organic and also inorganic. So we have the plastic and the packaging and all that. There is one issue as well.
Yeah.
And then, but right now is the organic also is
Yeah.
part of the issue. So we need to find ways to solve both. So
That's right,
from your
that's right.
side, you focus more on the organic waste.
Yeah.
And of course, last time, not a lot of people are into this, especially business. But right now, we are seeing more and more business are more aware and wanting to do something about it. But for the for most business, of course, the one that deals with food will require more of the solution. But why does what will be the benefit of composting to the company aside from reducing the waste?
Okay, I think the key thing is first of all, we know there are many different type of solutions lah for the company. Like for you say, maybe you think that food factory that generate food, they may need more, but when you look at generally any factories, like when they have staff and all that kind, they already have food waste because you got canteen, right? They have maybe staff quarters and all that, right? So anybody, as long as they are human and they eat, and then definitely ada food waste lah kat situ kan. So that's the key thing lah. Secondly, we think if we look into composting, why we suggest composting? Actually, out of all the method later we can discuss later, but out of that, composting is one of the good method because it is I would say it's very well accepted in the sense of environmentally friendly. Like for example, United Nations will definitely support composting rather than any incineration and all that, right? Moreover, food waste we are not supposed to incinerate because the moisture content is very high, right? Not encouraged to unless it's the last resort. So composting will be a very, very good way. First of all, I think composting is like giving back to the Mother Earth. Okay, there are many things to do, but composting is really giving back to the Mother Earth because we know topsoil. 1 inch of topsoil, we are actually depleting of topsoil these days, very susah to get topsoil. So 1 inch of topsoil probably will need more than 500 years to form. So today, if we do composting, we are actually giving back. Composting is like, we are saving the soil and giving back to the earth by supplying them the topsoil. So it's like organic matter from the jungle, the trees and all that, they fall down, they form the mulch and all that. So this is one way that we are giving back. Secondly, we can compost is very good to hold the water. You know lah, these days we are really talking the climate change, suddenly flood and all that, because the holding capacity is not there. So if we have more compost, the soil can hold water more. Okay, this is one way to work. And then it makes our land and garden non-toxic. We are not putting in chemical. Instead of giving a lot of chemical fertilizer and all that, why not we change, we use the compost to put in. And we can also stabilize our climate. Because today, if the food waste will go to the landfill, it will generate methane gas. When it rot underneath, it generates methane gas, and then it give up all the toxic gas and then global warming. So instead of that, we compose it, and then we give it back to the soil, and we divert it from the landfill. So it's kind of very, very good initiative to do. And of course, nowadays we know compost, because of the microbe in there, it helps the soil to be healthy and the plant to be healthy to against diseases. Because plant diseases, sometimes when the disease get out of place, then more chemical need to be used on our plant, especially the one that we're going to consume, right? So we want to avoid all this. So using compost is really good. And we do not need to import a lot of chemical fertilizer. We know because of the situation currently, chemical fertilizer are way too expensive. That's why it will affect us, our living as well, because we need to makan, we got veggie and all that, right? So when we do composting, we are giving it back. So I guess with all those benefits, we should really think about composting.
Yeah, but you talk about compost as to replace topsoil and be used in gardens and all that. But when we talk about fertilizer, you know
Mm,
exactly what the nutrients are in there, right? But for
yeah,
composting, it's whatever we put in there. So
yeah,
if let's say sometimes we put more meat or more vegetable, it will affect the
composition.
component in there. So
Oh,
is there is it something that we should be aware of, or
yeah.
I don't
Okay, I think this is a very quick question that people always like to ask. I think, first of all, the objective of what we are doing now first. If the company's objective is to resolve food waste issue, we need to settle the food waste sustainably. Then we do not impose on what should go in, what should not go in, right? So for us, we allow everything like bone shells, even like paper packaging, as compostable packaging, PLA and all that, which can be compostable to be in the composting process itself. So that would be the first objective, resolve food waste. But if you are talking about you want the end product to be quality, then it's a different story lah. So you need to adjust a bit. Oh, you can put more this, or then you can add in some brown, like sawdust, rice husk. Now, if we are doing composting as a business, end product as a business, then yes, we very much will control. But generally, most our client will just do what they have, because you cannot impose on them, right? You cannot put this, you cannot put that. Then
know.
what's the point of them doing composting, right?
Yep.
But when it comes to the question about compost quality, right? Malaysia definitely there's not really a very I would say clear-cut standard, but we can refer to standard from overseas like Singapore and others. As long as your organic matter more than 60% and above, we can consider it as a compost. So they have a standard A, standard B to meet, and whatever food waste you put in, as long as you go through the composting process, right? So the organic matter is the one that matters more. The NPK, yeah lah, we cannot fight with chemical lah, definitely, but it doesn't run too far. Now we have, based on our experience, we have like from hospital, we have from mall, we have from even the general pasar pagi, market. Generally the NPK doesn't run too far. Okay, the organic matter does varies from 80 to 90%, which is around that way. The pH also doesn't run too far. So you can see that it's quite clear cut that when it's broken down by the microbe, it will be around that range. So no issue on that, unless it's like single waste. Like for example, we say this is a slaughterhouse. They only have the raw meat. Maybe there's a bit of different in terms of I would say the micro minerals. That one a bit different. But NPK and all that, it doesn't run too far. Yeah. Sorry. I can't hear you.
Sorry. So it depends on the end or use case, right? So most
Yes.
consumer or home base, it's whatever they can put. But if you want to look into at the end, it's something like a proper fertilizer. Then there's a lot of things you have to look into as
Yes.
well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but if we talk about composting, because composting is quite a general term, there are
Mm.
a lot of ways people do composting and ways to do about it. Some people talk about like mixture of brown and green material. So, what are composting itself, and what are the available methods to compost?
Well, I think let's look into two area. When we talk about commercial, we talk about offsite also lah. We can have on-site, we can have offsite. So when we talk about offsite, means that there are people who collect the waste, the organic waste, and then it goes to a certain area. So in that sense, there are people who do windrow composting, like especially those organic waste that are very near, like maybe palm, okay, or any of the waste that they can collect, and then they mix with some veggie waste. Then they do the windrow method. Windrow method means you have a big, area, and then white land, and then you pile it, and then you just like roll it. So you have one row, two row, three rows, in the open area. Maybe it will take 2 to 3 months. This is one type. The other type is that they have those heap composting. So they collect and then they heap it up, heap it up, heap it up, like many many heaps. Maybe also like up to 8 stage, maybe 2 months or so. All right. And then the other type that is also quite long already in the market would be like vermicomposting. Commercially doing vermicomposting, we know of a few partners and friends that they do vermicomposting. Yeah, successfully as well. So they have food waste. The only thing is rather selective. So not all sort of food waste they would take, something oily or pedas or acidic they cannot take, right? So they are selective in certain way lah. What about black soldier fly? Black soldier fly also sometimes they consider as composting, but although it's really not, but then people also use this method. So this is also another good method. So again, they are also quite selective because of their market. The end product market, if they need to market to certain market, there are some restriction and criteria that they cannot fit certain type of food waste. Maybe not the cooked one, maybe the raw one, maybe veggie, not meat, something like that. Yeah. So there are restriction on some. And also we also see some kind of like a bigger scale one, like anaerobic digestion. Uh, that's really not composting but digestion. So people do mix up, composting and AD. AD is more like an anaerobic type, so they kind of generate some gas. So this gas can be collected also. If it's a big quantity, it can either use as a cooking or maybe power up certain lights and lamps and all that. But this has to be a bigger scale lah. Small scale, memang we will find that is a higher investment and not very efficient. But bigger scale, yes,
Hmm. So
especially
biomass, is it biomass?
yeah, something like that. Yeah, so it's
Hmm.
kind of like biomass, and you can create into biomass as well. So depend on the type of waste they have. So they will select can select the correct method lah. So there are different type. But let's say about on site. On site means you don't want somebody to take your waste out, to go and do, because you want to cut down the carbon footprint. And if you do not have a lot of waste generated, why not do it on site, right? So on site, then you can do something like turn tap. There are people who do turn tap, like one of the square, business square. They just use the turn tap type. So they have a few turn tap. So they put everything in and turn. So plus the sawdust, rice husk, and then that. So they turn for maybe a couple of weeks lah. So they have many many. So this is time consuming a bit, labor consuming, because you really need to people to do it. But it's also another method. So if you are budget constrained and you don't have a lot of waste, you may want to consider this, even though it's a bit slightly longer. Or smaller scale some more, maybe you can do bokashi fermentation. Now some people think that bokashi is composting, but actually bokashi is kind of fermentation lah. So it kind of like put in an enzyme and all that to ferment the food waste. Then later after that, you need to take it out and put on the soil again, to let it further decompose. So that's another method. Or at home, you can do your own bean composting. And getting very popular right now is like what we have now is a technology lah. Meaning to say, at the end of the day, people are too busy to do it. Sometimes very messy to do it, and then the smell starts to travel, and then you got recently I saw newspaper also, the neighbors start to complain and all that. You want to be green, but don't want to impose this on other people's inconvenience lah. So that's why you got to do something that people will accept, especially when we live together in a community kan. So that's where composting machines or composter are getting more in trend and more popular right now. So this is one way like getting a technology to come in to do the job for you lah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of misconception about composting. That's why I wanted to bring you to the show as well to share, like you say, right? There's digestion, there's different kind of
Yeah.
method. It might look or the end might be the same, but the process is a lot different and the
Yeah.
outcome also a lot different.
Yeah.
So talking about machines and solution, so we have the traditional method where you've shared a little bit, but right now because we should be moving forward, and like you say, some composting it takes like 2-3 months, and so like the smell and all that, so it's not really practical. So what does Mako solution for this composting?
Okay, okay. I think what we want to introduce is that because we have gone through this, me myself, I have done composting before. I mean, at home, we have tried different methods to all sorts of composting. So I know the pain of doing composting, and we understand how a customer feel. That's why for the first 4 years, when we do the research at time, we even put machine at our friend's restaurant and all that to test it out, right? So we want to get as close as the to the user as possible to know what is most acceptable to them. Like for example, there are methods, I mean like other technology where when you do composting, every time you have to add the enzyme or you have to buy the sawdust, to add in to absorb the moisture and all that. And then that's very tedious for them. And then there are also technology that you cannot, put in bones. So imagine, you first of all, you already ask people to segregate food waste. That's already a kind of task already. Then if you require the person to segregate bones and like, like the satay stick and all that, I think this is even worse. Nobody at the end will want to do it. Already seafood waste is a big kind of like GG already. Then someone go and take, right? So we understand the pain. So what we design for the customer is that it's so easy. Tissue lah, even your paper packaging lah, you have the compostable packaging lah, then you have bones, shells, everything in the food waste as a whole. No worry. This whole thing supposed to throw to the landfill. Don't do it, but put into the composter. So from here, they just input into the composter, and our composting machine is a combination of biological and mechanical. And our enzyme no need to put in every month, just every 3 months top up. That's about it only, very simple. And do not require you to buy a lot of bulking agent, drying agent to put in. And then, so just press a button and then it goes tumbling and agitate inside. And then we control the parameter of airflow, we control the temperature so that the microbes, are living in a very conducive environment in our machine. So after 24 hours, it's ready because we have this control process flow. So once it's ready, it can be discharged automatically. And we do not require any heating process outside because there are some technology earlier that once it's discharged, it's like a sludge form. And then the customer will have to like put it out to dry or put it to another dryer. Again, this is another process, right? For Mako, once the compost is ready, it's out, it's already in a powder form. So it's easy. Just store it aside, or you can just pack it tomorrow because it's still warm. You don't want to pack it first and pack it tomorrow. So we kind of like fulfill the very critical, factor of time and also space. So we don't need you to have a lot of space. Our smallest commercial machine like the 30 liter is like a refrigerator, one door refrigerator size. I'm sure a lot of even kitchen has the space to put that. So space is one critical factor. Time, 24 hours. I don't think there's a lot of machine in the technology or machine in the market can do that. Some they may claim 24 hours input but may not be output. And after 7 days only can discharge. Ours definitely in and out. Even our from the smallest 30 liter up to the 1 ton is still 24 hours within the 24 hours. So I feel that for us we really want to give a closed loop solution so that when the compost is out, what is special about us being our technology, our compost can be then used back to the farm. Yeah, it's not ash, it's not
Mm.
dehydrated food waste. It's kind of like already, I wouldn't call it the full compost like people say matured kan. Because matured, of course lah, you take like 2 3 months, but we already go to a stage is already like almost reaching the pre-compost or compost part already. Just a little bit
Mm.
further can use already. Yeah.
Mm. Understand. So before this, you also said that other things beside food can also be compostable.
Yep.
So you said, what are some of the things?
Yeah. Okay. I think the key thing about it is because we have research on our enzyme and microbes, that it goes beyond just the food waste, like even organic waste. Okay, what are type of organic waste? For example, if the around the restaurant or the company they have some gardening or some landscape waste, they can just trim it and put inside, no issue at all. So it saves them for discarding to the landfill already, the cost. Secondly, if the company is so green, they decided to go for like almost like towards zero waste. So they can change the packaging. The food packaging right now, if they are using polystyrene or plastic, you just change to anything like paper type or compostable. We have partners who do compostable packaging. So once it's done with eating and all that, just put inside a machine together with tissue lah, with everything, can be composted within 24 hours. We
Mm.
have partners and hotels that are changing even their shower cap lah, apron lah, all those are very related to food waste kan, to compostable. Then everything can put in. So I think this is one
Mm.
of the key unique point that we have that we can do it. Also with
Mm.
shells and bones and all that. Yeah.
Mm. What about like brown material? Like if let's say you want to use it for your daun, or even like for us, we have a lot of sawdust. Is it, are the
Oh yeah.
machine going to be helpful?
Yes, in fact, based on many research and journal, right? Because we are always on this research and all that, you find that if we put the food waste together with your like sawdust and all the garden waste, of course, if you have access lah, you mix it in maybe like 50% or 60, 40. Wow, you can get very good compost. Yeah,
Mm.
very good
So
quality.
the enzyme also can process that within 24
Yes,
hours and all that.
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So yeah, I would love to have a look at the technology and all that, and I'm sure a lot
sure.
of our viewers and listeners would love to know more.
Yeah,
So they can look at your website later. We can share as well. But
that's right.
before we end the session, I
Mhm,
would want us to ask you, like, what do you see the future would be like for
mm,
composting,
mm.
and what are you guys doing in terms of the future?
Okay. Um, like I say, when we started like 10 years ago, it was like, I think in your business too, right, Harry? You know that people are not so green at that moment of time. But today, things have changed, especially when talking about ESG, when talking about our pledge to the SDG goal, more corporate are getting into it. But now we talk about corporate world first. We talk about the B2B first. I would think that not only the company in Malaysia, especially now we have company that are multinational. Now we do have client that is not they themselves wanted to initiate the this implementing this food waste composting solution is their client. Instead, is their client required because being a supplier, they are selecting the client are selecting all the supplier as well, right? So the supplier has to be green as well to in line with their business KPI. So that's where it is a domino effect. Today, if I have a company A doing it, and when they adopt it, they want their supplier to do that too. So that's how they will impose on the supplier. Hey, you better do this. You better. If not, then it's difficult for me to do business with you. So that's how it will start to go one by one. And in the future as well, I think people or company who are doing ESG and all that with the appropriate reporting, sooner or later the government would implement something like maybe the incentive comes in. Maybe in the future I would say that it is a must already. Just like scheduled waste, it's a must that you do something about it. You got to settle it yourself. So before this tax starts in, why not everybody start to practice even in a small scale? like in the pantry as well. Like for us, most of the time we are B2B, right? But in 2 months' time, we are going to have a portable composting machine. This portable is only like 5 kilo. You can put in 5 kilo. Well, there are a lot of corporate who says, hey, May, I don't have a lot of workers, but I do have a pantry. How can I, as a corporate, contribute to this? Well, you can just adopt this portable one, put in your pantry, and then start doing, with 20, 30 staff, 40 staff. This is also another initiative. Now, everybody were to contribute like even 1 kilo of food waste per day. If the 10,000 company doing it, so it's already 10,000 kilo, right now. So I would say that it is going to be a trend, or it's a must lah in the future, that like for us last time kan, long time ago, we don't have house without toilet, we go public toilet, but today everybody have it in their house. Any waste that we generated, we must solve it ourselves. Similarly for food waste, so the trend will go on. For portable food waste will be more for home or small cafe, or even corporate office with pantry. But the bigger one will be for condominium, for corporate, for factory, for malls and all that. So sooner or later, it become part of it. And we also see that recently we were participating in architect. We also see the trend that architect today are unlike those days where they only allocate very small space for the maybe the roro bin, the garbage refuse chamber. Now they have composting area, they have 4R or 3R area, they have other area. So trend is changing, definitely is changing.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so there's a lot of good things to look forward in the future. So if you
Yeah.
guys want to know more about the product, you can go to www.meco.com.my, and you can contact them through there and like see what they can help you with. So we are at the end of the show. If you like this episode, please share it. To keep up with the learning, subscribe to our YouTube page for content and update. Follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you, Miss May,
Thank
for your
you.
sharing, and thank you, everyone, for your time. See you next week, and always have a green week ahead. Bye bye, guys.